In a previous video we looked at what you had to answer a question about in the Year 11 exam for GCSE Drama. I'm going to move on in this video to have a look at it in a little bit of detail at what the questions expect you to write about. This will be part of a series of videos on how to write for the exam, especially for Section A. I will be doing some videos on Section B, but they'll come at a later time. So we're just going to jump right in and we're going to take a question from the Crucible for the exam. Okay, there it is. It's just faded up there. Obviously, first of all, you'll see from this section here that you have a selected scene. You will need to know where the scene is so that you can turn to it quickly and read it through quickly. So that necessitates you reading through the play and knowing it kind of back to front and inside out, upside down, everywhere possible. And one of the best ways to do that is just to test yourself. You and your friends get together, you write out a few lines from the text, and then you test each other on where those lines are said, who is saying the lines, and who they're saying it to. In the case of this question, it's not actually that difficult to see where you're supposed to be in the text, because the selected scene says Act 1 from the beginning of the act up to where Paris says, Thomas, Thomas, they will hale me out of Salem for such corruption in my house. Now, the good thing about the drama exam is that the question that you're about to read here is always going to be the same. Let me read it out. Discuss in detail how you would play either Reverend Paris or Abigail in the selected scene. You'll need to refer to voice, movement, gesture and facial expression, as well as how your chosen character responds to others on stage. This section that's now highlighted in the video is the same in every question for Section A in the exam, so that's a good thing. You know what you're going to expect when you come to the exam. The thing that always changes is this part. It's the selected scene. Now you know where it is, so the first thing that you would need to do is read through the section and be familiar with what's actually going on. Now the best thing for you to do is to make a chart at this point. At the beginning of the exam, I would suggest reading through and writing the scene in the middle of the piece of paper, say Act 1, Scene 1, you could write the character that you're going to talk about, and just make notes on the following. What is happening? First of all, what's going on in the scene? Who is there? Why are they there? What has happened previously? How do the characters feel in the scene? That's a very important point, because how they feel will inform the way that you play the character when you are writing your answer. So once you've made notes on all of those things, you need to then go on to start to work systematically through the beginning of the text right down to the end, saying how you would play the character in the scene. In one of the videos I'm going to put up, I'll show you how to write in more detail, but for now I'd like to just concentrate on the detail of what the question is actually asking you to answer, because so many people go away and go into the exam thinking they know what is required of them, and when in fact they tend to botch it up in the end because they don't answer the question. So it's very important that you actually answer the question. So let me highlight the key words in this question for you. First of all, you've got the word discuss. You're going to be asked to discuss something in this answer. The next key word is detail. You must go into detail. This question, the answer to this question is not looking for a superficial overview of the scene. It is looking for an in-depth answer that gives details. The next question, the next key word is either. And the other key word after that is obviously going to be or. So it's either or. You only pick one character. And I would suggest which character you pick depends on which one you can identify most with. Don't pick a character because it's male and you're a male, or because it's female and you're a female. Pick the person that you feel you understand best in the play. So you'll pick either Reverend Paris or Abigail. Which one do you think you would pick if you were going to answer this question in the exam? Would it be Reverend Paris, the man who changes throughout the play? He changes his position on the witch trials because all he's concerned about is for himself. Or would it be Abigail, this girl who in the previous video we looked at has an endless capacity for dissembling? The next key word or expression is selected scene. So you will only talk about that person in the selected scene and nowhere else. You may make references, and it's highly recommended that you make references to previous scenes and what's happened before, because that always informs how the character is thinking or feeling, but you will only talk about how you would play them in this scene. So your next keyword is all of these words down here: voice, movement, gesture, facial expression. The examiner is going to be looking for you to talk about in great detail how you would use your body language, how you would use your facial expressions, how you would use your voice and your movement, your gesture to express the character's thoughts and feelings. Yes, it sounds a little bit strange that you have to write like that, but the examiner needs to see that you understand the necessary practical skills to communicate to the audience what the character is thinking or feeling. With that in mind, our final keyword of this question is responds, how your chosen character responds to others on stage. This particular sentence is very important, because what it tells us is you don't just need to write about what you would say on each line, you can also write about how you would react to other people's lines. So you're going to have to take into account what the other person has said to somebody to make them react in that particular way. In the next video, we're going to examine an exemplar answer. That is somebody who got full marks for answering this question because they answered it in such detail. We're going to be looking at some of the examples that this person gave, some of the points that they made, and how they tied that together with evidence.